Today we're going to be working on the AE86 for AG16 valve. This is a GTS, but we yanked the 20 valve that was in it and put it over there.
Yeah, buddy.
So that's running, but now we have to get this running. Right, this motor's been taken apart and rebuilt. So now a few things I gotta get knocked out is we have a starting issue with the distributor. Coil is brand new. Igniter, well, iffy. The signal seems to be kind of weak, but it may be because the pickups, which are in the distributor right there. I don't know if you can see this, but pickups are up to there somewhere. That's one right there. You can see the point of the top dead center pickup. And right at the back, there's another pickup. See the point right there? That has 4 nipples on it that basically tell the coil when to fire for each cylinder. All right, firing order is standard for 4-cylinder firing order. So 1, 3, 4, 2. All right, so let's get crack-a-lacking. First, we're going to remove the distributor. Got a few other distributors that we have here that we're going to try. Let's see here. Okay. Hopefully, one of these two will end up being a good distributor. And we can get this thing going. All right, so first step, disconnect all power. I'm gonna yank the battery out and we're gonna do something about this. So this is gonna be a hassle to try and mount, which, and the cover keeps coming off, so we're gonna take care of that. And we're gonna swap to this fusible link, clean it up and put it on there. All right, let's get crack-a-lack. Okay, so from what I can tell, right there, let's see here, with our distributor, we look at the color of the wires. See that green and black, and we have red with what looks like brown, but it's actually white. It's just been discolored by oil. The green with black goes to, see right here, goes to this pickup. And this pickup goes off of that point right there. This point. So that's your top dead center for this pickup. Pickup to the bottom goes off of that point, and that should be the trigger for our each cylinder. All right, and that's the red with white. So your red with white goes directly into the igniter. So that's going to tell the igniter basically to start, generate the pulse to trigger the coil. And then our top dead center signal goes in right here. That feeds back into the ECU. So something's going on with our igniter right here. All right. So we need to figure this out. I'm gonna have to wire in this igniter. It's next to impossible to find in the stores. So our plan now is to cut the harness. Zip right there. That's our coil. And then we're gonna, of course, cut the pickup right here too. And we're gonna wire in an igniter from a newer vehicle that's 4-cylinder. And hopefully the dwell is close enough where the ignition would be enough of a pulse. Okay, now if we were running a full standalone system, we won't have to worry too much about our dwell using a different igniter. Because in a standalone system, we can actually adjust the dwell that we want. All right, right now we're just going off of the stock ECU dwell. So whatever igniter we put on here, hopefully, maybe another Toyota igniter. Maybe one from like a 2JZ and all aspirated SC300 would work. And it'll be enough to send enough spark to our coil. All right. Okay, it seems like we're working on all Toyotas here for a minute. We have the 16 valve AE86 Corolla that I'm gonna need to replace the igniter. That's the final conclusion it came with. I may either have to splice in or just use this harness, cut these wires, and put a different igniter, because these igniters are getting more expensive and harder to get. So if I can get something a little bit more modern and wire it into the whole car, then it'll make maintenance or any kind of troubleshooting or part replacement a little bit easier. On the Supra, it's not an issue, but we got a few things that we need to do. This car is pretty much stock, so we upgraded an intercooler. You can see we already changed the piping, added a big front mount. One of the next things that we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and put all new valve stem seals. And when I do it, the engine's gonna be in the car, so you get to see how we change the valve stem seals without having to remove the cylinder head. All right. While I'm doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and just, since I'm gonna have the cams out and all that stuff, I'm gonna have to, I don't have to, but I'm gonna replace the cam seals. I'm gonna replace the front main seal. I'm gonna do the timing belt, water pump, all that good stuff that, tensioner, that I'll have access to once I take all this stuff apart. All right. Now, once I do all the maintenance in the car and I know everything's solid, I'm gonna check the compression, make sure everything's good. One of the next things that we're gonna do is we're gonna take the horsepower up a little bit. Like around 80 or to 100 horsepower we're gonna add. And how we're gonna do that is I'm gonna put a tune on the ECU, and we're gonna, do a little bit of tweaks, and we're gonna run a little bit more boost. Stock turbos, we're gonna run a little bit more boost. We're also gonna put an aftermarket muffler on it, full exhaust system, and try to get as close to 400 horsepower on the stock motor without having to really push everything too high, right? So I'm not trying to do 20 pounds of boost. I'm not trying to do 22 or 25. Maybe like a modest 18, because we're gonna run on pump gas. We're not gonna use E85 or anything like that. It's pretty much what this customer wants. And then we'll take it right there, so stay tuned. Now the other option I can consider, instead of changing out the igniter and wiring that in, is this harness is pretty old, so I could just get rid of all that, get rid of the stock ECU, get rid of the external igniter, switch out from distributed spark to a more modern ignition, maybe like a waste spark or even a sequential ignition and sequential injection, and that would make the system, a little bit more tunable. I can fully tune the 16 valve, maybe squeeze a little bit more horses out of it. Instead of one igniter, in this case, going bad and shutting down the entire motor, if I have individual coils with built-in igniters, then instead of the one thing and then the whole thing, the whole engine shut down, then if one igniter goes bad on one coil, then I still have 3 cylinders running. So technically, I could limp home with the car or something like that. So I might consider that. I have a few options for standalone systems that I've done on these. I've done a lot. So We need something simple, easy to work with, and reliable. All right, so this is an NA application, so we don't need anything too crazy on this car. So I may consider like a mega squirt, something like that. All right, wire that in, get everything a little bit more modern, and then go from there. Okay, we got the 4AG figured out. All it was a bad igniter. These igniters are hard to find, but we managed to get a used one. Put it on there. Now we have spark coming out of the coil going into the distributor, so that should run.